And I called my buddy up. I'm like, ah! And he's manager at one of the hotels in Lawrence. He's like, dude, just get out of the house. Bring the family in. We'll put you up. You know, it's like, I was like, ah! So, it's like, it was pumping all the water out of the fish tanks into the sump pump in the basement, so that it would then pump all of the filth out of the house. It was gnarly.
That sounds terrible. Like an experiment gone awry.
Oh, yeah. So
one fish dead.
They're all dead. They're all dead.
What is going on?
So much money just went down the toilets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I couldn't eat any of it.
It's the worst.
It was the worst, man.
Welcome to the 98% podcast, where we hear real stories from real people, and I'm here with Nick. So, Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy, I'm Nick. Do we do last names?
If you want to, I mean, I'll put the last name on the clip if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've never had anybody say like, "No, don't use my last name."
Yeah, don't use it.
Please don't do it.
No. I'm Nick, and I work with Ricky, and this is. He invited me onto the podcast. I was like, sure, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
I think it was a little more complicated than that. Yeah. But yes, you're here now, which is awesome.
Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I work for. Well, can we talk about like? I don't know. Okay.
I'm sure we're fine. Yeah.
All right. Cool. I work at a company called Proseco. I do IT work for them. So, yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do for fun on the like high level? Because I know we're going to talk about that question more.
But. Yeah, high level. I mean, I've done lots of things for fun, but right now I'm just kind of digging in and just spending time with family. So is kind of the main thing. Anything that is either I'm just chilling with people or helping with projects or whatever the need is, pitching in and helping out. So
sweet. And then the first question is usually I say, how do you know me? But you kind of already said from work. But anything else you want to add to that?
Nah.
No? That's fair.
Ricky for months now.
It's been 5 months now. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's pretty
5
cool.
months.
Yeah. It's went fast.
I had to do the math today on my call, actually.
Oh.
They asked a question about how long you've been in your current role, and I was like, 5. So that was cool. But no, it's funny because when I first started there, obviously new company, kind of different atmosphere, but felt really good. But I think you were like the first person I talked to about the podcast, I believe, as far as you want to be on it, and you were like, let me think about it, and I was like, cool, cool. But no, I just felt like we kind of bonded pretty well. I think right off the bat, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
sweet. Okay, so how we do this is I sent you the questions in advance. You can look over them as much as you want, and goal is just for us to go through the questions, and hopefully the audience can connect with some of your stories and all that. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Sweet. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So what was growing up like for you?
Oh man, growing up. Well, it was great, actually. I've got 2 parents that Tom and Bev that loved me, and they still love me. They're still alive. They did a great job raising me. Mom was a stay-at-home mom for the most part. And up until Dad, he was in sales, company called Vasco, and they did electric motors. Was born in, I guess Springfield, Missouri, and but first house was living in Nixon, Missouri. So lived there for 4 years. Dad got transferred to St. Louis, so we ended up in St. Louis for a number of years, and then ended up back in the Springfield, Missouri area. Probably, I don't know, I want to say it was like 8 years later in Springfield. And anyways, we lived there for a couple of years, and my dad got the calling to go into the ministry. So, so he decided to drop everything, and we moved to Joplin, Missouri, and he started going to Ozark Christian College in Joplin. So he was considered a non-traditional student because he was already married, had kids and stuff, and so they had a trailer park on campus that we moved into, and so I was used to moving around and doing new schools and stuff, so it wasn't a big deal, and so I don't know how deep we're supposed to go in.
Dude, as deep as you want. It's funny, I didn't know you were born in Springfield. I was born in Springfield.
Okay.
Which is fun. I was only there for like 3 years, though, so I don't remember it.
Yeah, well.
But that is a fun fact.
Yeah.
So what are some other things you did in your childhood?
Oh, let's see. I'm a Gen Xer, so I was born in 1977. So, it was pretty much they threw us outside, and, we ran around all over the neighborhood and got into trouble, and, so I wasn't really a big troublemaker, but, we always found things to do. So, I don't know. It was, it was fun. Always playing survival games, or we're always looking for to build a fort, or I don't fish, or anything outdoorsy. I didn't do a lot of sports. So there was like some t-ball, but then after that there was like nothing up until probably junior high. I did some track, but wasn't really interested in sports too much. So I did get involved with the Boy Scouts when I was 16 and made it to Star right before I turned 18. And then once I turned 18, you're not a boy anymore. So became an assistant scoutmaster. So
nice.
Which was a little weird, But anyways, I was part of a new troop, and the scoutmaster was like, "Hey Nick, why don't you join up and help us out?" And I was like, "Sweet, that sounds pretty fun." So lots of camping, hunting, learning about nature and stuff. So, I don't know. I did odd jobs, weird jobs, growing up. Didn't do a whole lot until I was, needed a car. But I purchased my first car from working on an ostrich farm.
Sweet.
So,
okay, there's got to be a story behind that.
Well, when after Dad was done with school, he found a little church out in the country that was north of Joplin, Missouri. I went to high school in Jasper, Missouri, and we had a graduating class of 36 people, something like that. So small town. We lived out about 8 miles west of town, and in a little farmhouse, and we had like 2.2 acres of land, and we field grew chrysanthemums for extra money, and Mom, she would do jobs, working here and there, famous bar at the mall, things like that. And but where was I going with this? Well, living out in the country, one of the nearby farms a mile away was an ostrich farm.
It's so random.
Yeah. So,
did you have ostrich eggs?
I've eaten ostrich eggs.
Okay.
They're good. I haven't, the guy, he sold the meat and the birds and the eggs. But mostly he hatched birds and then sold birds. So, but it's a red meat. There's people that like it. I haven't ever had it, so I don't know. So, but it's like eating beef, I hear.
Yeah.
So
I had the opportunity to almost have it.
Almost have it?
Yeah, I was at a buddy's house, and he's like, "We make some ostrich. You've ever had it?" I was like, "No." It's like, "We should do it." And then it came time to it. He's like, "You know what? I'm just going to make some chicken tonight."
Oh, what?
So he made chicken. Well, the thing is he had a bunch of guests come over. Oh, so he's like, "I didn't think I had enough ostrich," and he's like, "I didn't want to just make the ostrich for you."
Right.
There's other people there, but I'll have to have that sometime.
That makes sense.
So then. So you mentioned sports. So what was a turnoff for you as far as sports? Because you said you didn't like it very much.
Oh, it's not that I didn't like it. It just wasn't interesting to me.
Oh, gotcha.
So there for a bit, I was thinking about getting in on football, but I don't know what the turnoff was on that. It could have been money.
Oh, really?
So we were pretty poor. But I was into art. I was into, played the saxophone in the marching band. I much rather probably would have liked to play jazz, but I couldn't get anybody to teach me jazz. So it was, just marching band, which pretty much killed it for me. So.
I did marching band one year. So, because I've always played instruments, and the guy I played drums with, or he plays drums with me, he talked to the music teacher, and they talked me into it senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. I remember getting concessions, and of all people, I was at the concessions getting like a pretzel or something random. They're like, "Hey, do you want to join band?" And I was like, "Nah." They're like, "Well, what's holding you back?" And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't really read music, so I just kind of do stuff by ear. Mm-hmm. I'll teach you. Well, if that's the case, cool. Why not? Do it. Guess what? You never taught me any music. I had to teach myself music, which, I mean, it's understandable because he's got 30, 40 students, but that happened. So I was doing percussion, and they just surrounded me with instruments in the pit. So I'd play bass drum, gong, hi-hat, just random stuff. And I had a good time because... if you know anything about me, like I can't stand just being bored and stuff. So it's like, let's have some fun. So if it was like a bass drum hit, I was really going after it. Or if it was like in the marching portion, I had to do cymbals. Oh, yeah. Which nobody wants to be the cymbal guy. So me and the guy next to me that were doing cymbals, we're just like, you know what? Let's do some cool stuff. So we had this whole thing planned. We were hitting our cymbal. Like, we did awesome. Yeah. Like, we had people look at us like, look at the cymbal guys. And I was like, that's what I want. Yeah, exactly. I want people to say, like, I wish I played cymbals. but that's about my experience. I think the funniest story was once, I don't know if you had any experience with this. They were practicing the football show, their little marching thing for there. And so I'm in the pit, and I think we're playing Beethoven's Fifth. So I'm playing. I get the gong, bass drum. Like I'm just set, ready to go. And they just kept running this routine over and over. And they had a movement where all the drum line would like walk like backwards diagonally. So it's kind of like a backwards movement.
Yeah.
And they were walking. And one day, it was awesome because we're sitting there playing this thing, and all of a sudden, we hear a crash. Then we hear a crash, 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 crash. And the person in the line fell down with their like, whatever the
quad or
whatever. Quad, yeah. And then that person didn't see because they're walking backwards, tripped over them and tripped over them. It was just this whole line of people tripping over each other. And it's just one of those things like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And it was hilarious.
Oh, that's awesome.
I loved it. But there was that. And then you said you did track. So what did you do in track?
I did like 200-meter dash, 100-meter dash, high jump. I do long jump. Yeah, I don't think I did long jump. Yeah, those were the things. I think I medaled at one meet.
Oh, yeah.
Silver. And, of course, it's like tiny schools.
Of course. Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, it was, the things that I liked, in PE was, track was all right, but gymnastics, it was a small country school, so we did hunter's education, and then if you passed, we all went out onto the football field and shot clay pigeons. So
sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty sick, man. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I was like, you're hanging out with friends and you're having a good time, but I was like, this running stuff is for the birds.
See, I love track and field. That was my favorite event.
Oh,
See,
okay.
my turnoff for team sports was I didn't understand why everybody took everything so serious.
Oh.
That was my biggest problem, is because like everybody would be like the coaches would be yelling, all the kids would be crying and stuff, and I'm just like, what? I don't understand what's going on, guys. We're just playing a game.
Yeah, it's just a game.
And I don't know if it was just my coach experience or what, but like just kind of growing up, I was just like, I just don't get it. So I would always compete well, but I wasn't the person to like, hey, look at me. Like, I'd just be reserved. Like, tell us what we need to do, and I'll learn on the job by doing it. Let's do it. So track and field was like the time where it's like I could just do me, focus on what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And cool thing is it didn't have to be like a collaborative thing where it's like, like I had people that sucked up to coaches and people like that. Like, and I wasn't like that. So with that, it's like you're either better or you're not.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that a lot. So it was fun. And then one thing you mentioned too, you used to play games when you were a kid. So what is a game you feel like now generation is missing out on, like a playground or fun game that you played?
Oh man, well, everybody loves kickball, but I mean now there's kickball leagues. We didn't have kickball leagues, like. It's like I moved to Lawrence, and I'm like, I'm like 35, and I'm like, there's a kickball league? What? That's cool, but yeah, I mean, kickball was like, the game. Let's see, other game. I don't know. Oh, well, another thing I did when we moved out to the farm was I was a poser. I was a skateboarder, but I was a total poser, But I dressed the part, and I had the board. And when we moved out there, I was like, Dad, there's no pavement out here. How am I supposed to skate? He's like, well, we'll get some plans. We'll build you a ramp. I was like, okay. So I had a half pipe in my backyard.
Well, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So I tagged along with him to. he was doing some construction work with one of the elders. One of the elders was a contractor, and so he would go and work during the week with this guy, and so they knew they were doing demo on a house and remodeling, and so I would go, and as they were demoing, I would like pick up, good lumber. He's like, you can have whatever, torn out lumber and stuff, and so I was like, okay, here's my list. Okay, yeah, so I would go out there, pick up what we needed, throw it in the back of the truck. It's like, yeah, it was good. It was good. So it's hard work. You had to watch out for nails.
Yep.
This this guy, his last name was Manley, and he was a manly man.
Okay.
He is a manly man. He's still alive, but he's no nonsense. He's like, Nick, make sure you're looking at the ground where you're walking. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's like, duh, and then it was like, next step, right on a nail, it was like, so
what are the odds of that?
I'm like, he's like, you're kind of limping there, just step on a nail. It's like, yeah, he's like, okay, we got to look at it. So, I get up on the bed of his truck, and he's stripping my sock and my shoe off. He's got it in like this, headlock, and he's like, okay, and he goes into his truck, pulls out, Q-tips, alcohol, Neosporin, and he's like, he rips the head off the Q-tip, and he's like shoving stuff down in the nail hole in the bottom of my foot. Got it all cleaned out. I'm like squirming and yelling, and he's having a good time. It's like, okay, I need to listen, and
So that was nasty then, huh?
Yeah,
it's nasty.
But
fill in the hole.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a bad one.
Oh yeah, I was like, now you need to go get a tetanus shot. And, I was like, oh, dadgummit. So, anyways, it was a fun experience. I don't know. All of life has been a journey, and I don't know, it's as fun as you want it to be. So
it's true. I mean, it's kind of perspective.
So
yeah, I stepped on nails before. Never that penetrated my foot though. Yeah. But I used to work on a construction site with my dad all the time. So if there were roofers step on roofing nails, luckily they weren't long enough to go through the sole of the shoe. I'd be pulling all those out like, oh, well, that was close.
Yeah.
So luckily I didn't have that. I did step on a come along though and whack myself in the forehead. Talk about like a comedy skit.
Yeah.
Just being like 5th grade, stepping on this thing and it whacking me in the head. Had a nice little knot.
Nice.
It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's funny. But back to the games thing. So one game that I think everybody's missing out on if they don't do it is one of my best friends, he brought this game over from California, and he called it Sandman. So I played it with him, and I thought it was awesome. So every time I was out with a group of guys, we would play Sandman. I mean, I was doing this in high school, like track bus. We'd be done with track. Everybody want to go to the pool? Pool? Okay, cool. Then we're going to play Sandman. Everybody's like, yeah, let's do it. Because it became like just a favorite. But how you play it is you have to have a playground, and what you do is someone is the Sandman.
Okay.
So they're on the wood chips or pebbles or whatever the base is, right? And they can have their eyes open, whatever. Once they get onto the equipment, they have to close their eyes. Then it becomes a game of like tag, but their eyes are closed. So your job as the person trying to get tagged is you get on all these freaky positions, like above them or whatever, and just hoping they don't touch you. And Yeah, it's awesome. And if
So
they
the Sandman has his eyes closed?
eyes closed,
Okay.
everybody else has their eyes open, and they're basically trying to
Okay.
escape him. So
Okay.
he's kind of feeling around, trying to tag people, and everybody's trying to be real quiet. And then if you could hear them, if they stepped on the ground,
Yeah.
you could yell Sandman, and if you caught them, then they become the new Sandman.
Right.
So that was like the trick thing. So it was
Okay.
fun.
Okay.
But yeah, we used to do that all the time. And the funny thing is I saw a family playing it, but they weren't calling it Sandman. Just randomly one day, they're playing the exact game, and I was like, whoa, that's awesome. But because I thought he says he made it up, so I was like, whoa. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Fun game, you should totally play it. Although we got in trouble by a cop once.
Was it at night?
No, it wasn't. This is the thing. It was during the day. We were playing on the playground, and he came up in his big white shades. Hey guys, what are you guys doing? Playing a game? He's like, you guys are too old to be playing this. Okay, are we in trouble? I need you guys to stop playing it. I'm like, what if we don't? No, seriously, you guys just need to stop. Okay. So we all got off the equipment, and the minute he left, we got back on and played.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this cop doing? This guy? And he was probably like, I mean, we were high school. He was probably in his low, mid-20s, maybe.
It's the man trying
Showing
to
up.
bring you down, man.
Hey guys, you guys are too big to be playing on that. Like, is there rules against playing on playground equipment? I don't know. It was funny. So yeah, fun game at any age.
Sandman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So next question. So what was the biggest struggle that you've made it through? We're getting a little deep now.
Life.
Yeah.
Life. Yeah. This is where I guess it gets deep, I guess. Biggest struggle. I don't know. I've had a hard time figuring this question out because there's been lots of hard struggles, mainly like after marriage. So up until marriage, perfect life. You know, no worries, no. I don't know. It was just skating by. Not skating by. That's probably the wrong terminology, but just you don't know life can suck.
You're kind of content with how everything was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you just think that that it's just gonna continue on how things are, and so I grew up in the church, and so I had this foundation of faith and love, and that my whole world was built on, and it's gotten me through pretty much everything. I mean, Jesus has gotten me through everything, and the I don't know. I'm not sure there. I mean, I guess I don't know. There's just been a lot of hard things from right after getting married. 2 years later, we had our first child, Sydney, and within I don't know a couple of months after having her, we find out that my wife's father has Lou Gehrig's. So and he's to a point. I mean, he went to the Mayo Clinic. They finally figured out what was going on with him, but his body was degraded to the point where he could not be at home by himself. And so we had just had Sydney. Michelle, who was she was a school psychologist for the Emporia School District. She decided, after having Sydney that she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I was like, okay, I got to find a different job to pick up the salary that we're losing. So found a job in Lawrence, but Lawrence was too expensive to move to. So I was going back and forth to Emporia. We owned a house there, so we're just fixing it up. Probably going to sell it, figure something out. But um, it just seems like even though when hardships happen, there's always like something lines up for us. So had a job in Lawrence. Instead of commuting back and forth, her parents lived in Leavenworth, and since she wasn't working anymore, and Sydney was easy to take care of, we just decided, well, we'll go up, we'll stay at their house. They had a big house, and so during the week we would stay with them, and she would take care of her dad during the day, and I was working semi nights. I wasn't going in until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I worked for the Lawrence Journal World, and in the pre-press department, getting pages ready to go to press. And actually, they had hired me specifically for preparing the Kansas City pitch. And so I was doing that. So I was able to be around during the day to assist, and he was in the beginning he was able to kind of walk around, and but he was having to use. He ended up in a wheelchair, but I was able to do a lot of the manhandling to get him from point A to point B, within the house and stuff. And so together we worked on just, living life with him, making it so he could go wherever he wanted to. We did a lot of, just out and about stuff, getting him out of the house and whatnot. But I don't know. It just from at that point, from then on, things just kind of we always had a hard thing in our life, but we were always blessed in one way or another. So I got to spend a lot of time with my father-in-law and engage with him, and he was a wonderful man, soft-spoken, loved his family dearly, and I watched him die, and which was hard. We had our first miscarriage with our second child during that time, and then he passed away, and then we had our second child, Silas, and at that point I'd gotten promoted to supervisor, and so I was making enough money we could move to Lawrence. So we went from living with them to buying a house in Leavenworth, and I was traveling back and forth from Leavenworth to Lawrence, and moved to Lawrence, living life, having fun, just doing, I don't know, doing whatever. I was always the chauffeur, or whoever had a fun idea of what they wanted to do in the backyard or whatever, tried to make it happen, whether it was gardening or backyard chickens or ducks or whatever. So I don't know. I'm a tinkerer, so I was always tinkering with things, and so I got joy from just serving my family. The one thing, and I've told you this in the past, the only goal I ever had growing up was having a family and having kids, and so you know, and with family, there's always things that happen. There's hardships. So I think we had a total of 3 miscarriages, um, and so we had our first child, a miscarriage, our second child, then 2 miscarriages, and then our third child, um, and so we're like, we got to stop. I'm not going to be able to do 3 miscarriages between this, because it was like every time we had a successful one, it just kept, it was just worse. So, but again, we had family around us for things like that. We had our church family. Church family's always been a big part of our lives, just because it's a family, and they're all looking out for each other, and so it's just a lot of love going on there. But from miscarriages to my niece coming to live with us, my wife's sister has struggled with drugs and alcohol, and she got to the point where she was just having a real hard time taking care of her daughter, and she was in a bad place, and we asked, if we could go ahead and provide for our niece, and she released her into our care for a time, and so my nieces lived with us on and off for most of her life, and so those were some really difficult times, figuring out dynamics with her sister and my niece's father. So, and he had his own background that was he wasn't in a good place either. So so you have those kind of things, and then probably Sawyer was, our youngest was 2 years old, maybe not even 2 yet. It was 2009. My wife found a lump in her breast, and she got tested and found that she had breast cancer. So and we hit it hard with all the available forms of all the tools, chemo, radiation, all those things, and that was a really hard time, and we had lots of people around us. It's like God was always taking care of us, no matter what the ordeal was, and we lived life to the fullest, no matter what, because we wanted our kids to have a really good life. It was a blessing that she was a stay-at-home mom. She decided she was going to homeschool. Since she had cancer, she was like, I'm going to spend as much time with my kids as possible. And so for the next 10 years, she fought cancer. She was stage 2 when she was first diagnosed. So some of the cancer had already moved to some of her lymph nodes in her body. So, but we were happy. We did things the way we wanted to do it. We loved on people. We didn't like being the center of attention. Um, uh, we were we wanted to help people. So I mean, there were different times we had people living with us. Not just my niece, but other friends that were having hard times. Life is life, and things happen, and we just roll with it. God always just gave us the energy and the strength um, to work through it. And we always knew He had our backs. And even though we were going through hard things, it developed us it developed our marriage. It developed our kids and how they see the world. It was it's just been it's been good. In 2020, January 14th, my wife lost her battle to cancer. It had moved into her bones, and over those 10 years, it had moved, and they would try different things, new chemo, new tools to try to keep it at bay. But eventually it moved to her soft tissue from bone, and so went to her liver, and it took her life on the 14th of January in 2020. And so that's been 5 years now. And that was really hard. Probably to this date, the hardest. And at that point, I mean, it's just me and my 2 boys living with me. Silas, who's 21 right now, he's going to be turning 22 here in a couple of weeks, and Sawyer, who's 17. So right before she passed away, we could see she was going downhill pretty quick, but we moved out of our home from downtown Lawrence on Rhode Island Street. We had a pretty big house that we had poured a lot of love into, and but we decided we needed to sell it and get something that was smaller, more manageable for her, easier to get around. She was having trouble walking and just loss of energy. And so my daughter, she got right before all of this, like in October before that, she got married to Anthony, my son-in-law, and they've been married for 5 years now. And so she got married, we moved, and Silas, we had to start doing a bunch of testing on him because we started seeing hives and things come up on him. and joint swelling, and all these kind of weird things around. It was Thanksgiving, I think, Thanksgiving of 2019, and so we were like taking him to the doctor, trying to figure. She just like tanked, and like at the January 1st, the doctor's like, she's got 2 weeks left to live. So we got her right into hospice, and I spent 2 weeks with her in hospice, side by side with her, and just taking care of her and managing kids, and family came around, and so, and she passed, and that was like, so her birthday was on the 12th, and she passed on the 14th, so she just had a birthday, and so that was really hard, and the last 5 years has been pretty hard, So Silas, we've been, I've been busy trying to figure out his autoimmune stuff. We figured out he had an autoimmune disease, super rare, and so he's been battling that, and because he's on immune suppressant drugs, he gets infections easily, and so he got well, at one point he got staph in his blood, and he had to be hospitalized, and then a few weeks of IV antibiotics pumped through him, and then I don't know, probably a year after that, he got another infection. It was strep, and during one of those infections, he's seen doctors all the time. He's at a GI appointment, and they're like, "It sounds like you got a heart murmur." So in 2023, so like a year ago, I can't believe it's already been a year, but he ended up having to have open heart surgery to replace a heart valve, because that infection had attacked his valve, and so for him to have longevity, he decided to go ahead and have the open heart surgery, get it taken care of. But they got in there, they weren't able to save the valve, so they had to put a mechanical one in, so now he's on blood thinners the rest of his life at 21 years old, and so he has to be careful what he does, and he loves mountain biking, and being a guy, and so, but also right before he had surgery, I was having insane headaches and just weird stuff going on, and so I went to the doctor. MRI, found out I had what's called a prolactinoma, a tumor in my head. So the same week that he was having heart surgery, I was having brain surgery. So,
Wild.
so it was a hard thing, but I was like, there's nothing I can do. I'm not in control of any of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just life, and I'm here, and what am I here for? I'm here for other people. I'm here to be able to, serve somebody who needs help. I'm here to give advice to those who are wanting it. I'm here to learn and experience, everything that's going on around me, and so even though I go through these hard things, God has always, He's always just brought people around us, taking care of our needs, taking care of, physical needs, mental needs, financial needs. It's just, I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, I'm not in control of anything. And that's okay, because somebody else is, and I don't have to worry about it. And so, not that I don't worry. I mean, it's
human nature.
It's human nature.
Worry.
It's definitely it's definitely an emotional deal. But Silas's heart is doing well. My head is doing well. But health is a continual thing in the Rees family. Just trying to live life the best we can, and doing fun stuff. So yeah. So I mean, that kind of gets me up to now. So So I would say life has been the struggle, and not. So
it's been good and bad.
Yeah.
No, I admire that about you too, because the thing is like, to have all those hardships happen, especially all at the same time. I mean, not everybody would have had that perspective that you had either. To be able to see, one, to trust, to have faith and stuff that everything's going to work out, but also just to keep that, I don't know, I guess, positive attitude or positive outlook, because I know it's probably not always like that. I'm sure there are times where it's not, but like every time I've even talked to you, like everything seems positive, and that's not a quality everybody has, it seems like.
Well, no, it's not. But I've been through a lot, and I've been shown a lot. I've been shown a lot of love and mercy, and I mean, it's easy to give love and mercy when you've been given a lot of love and mercy.
That is true.
So and grace.
That is true. I've noticed that. I've noticed some of the people who have gone through the hardest stuff care the most. I guess it's because of that factor. Is they know what it's like to lose things or to have things happen. They they hold tight to those relationships. Yeah.
Well, you know what to be grateful for, and so I'm sometimes sometimes I'm like, sometimes I don't have sympathy or empathy. I don't know which one it is, but sometimes I'm just like, you guys.
For people like my internet's out. It's the worst day of my life, like that.
Yeah.
They're like, why are you so upset? Please stop.
Hey, you mean you don't have to work?
Things could be much worse. Trust me. Dang.
So
I can see that. I can see that.
But I think it's one of the things that I hear all the time. You're so patient, and I really think it contributes to that. Just it's not. It can always be worse.
True. No, that's a good perspective. That's a Stoic philosophy. It could always be worse, and it makes you grateful for what's going on. Yeah. So what are you currently going through?
Just the continued health stuff. When your child transitions from where you have complete control of their health and well-being to turning 21, you no longer have legally the ability to to do everything that's necessary
Mhm.
for him. So Silas had to transition into taking care of his own appointments, all that stuff. So, and he went from being at Children's Mercy to KU Med, and Children's Mercy was really good at helping him walk through the process of adulting in his situation. So, so that's the hard right now is helping him manage. He has some things that he should be like taking care of, and it's like it's hard for me not to get riled up sometimes. Like, come on, man! Just like you just need to make a phone call, or what's the next step, and because when he's feeling good, it's easy to let things slide when you need to be doing proactive stuff to continue to make sure you continue to feel good. He's one of his reactions, his autoimmune things is that triggers it is cold. So winter is like a death sentence for him. So anything that stresses his body, whether it is cold weather or a rapid change in temperature, so just getting out of the shower and being wet and going from really warm into a cooler will just trigger total body hives, on him. So he'll run the shower, with it as steamy as possible in the bathroom. So, and he'll get out and the shower's still running, so he can then just put his clothes on and, and it's, so, you work around these things in order to, just, you just figure it out. So, but, there's some testing that the doctors would like done that he needs to get done, and so just helping him in the management of all that and making sure that we're moving forward on stuff is a little stressful, and my stress triggers his stress, which triggers him. So it's like you kind of got to be like, it's like I see him amping up about something like, oh no, okay, well, hold on, so stress in the mind, stress on the body from the environment, can trigger it. Exercise triggers it. It's totally weird. He'll have hives in his throat. So it's a it's a crazy disease, and we keep plugging away trying to find what could be causing it, if anything's causing it. And sometimes you just get to a place where it's like we're never gonna find what's gonna cure it. Stop, Dad. He's told me, Dad, stop. This is just how it is, and it's okay. And I'm like, it's not okay. But but it's a beautiful thing seeing that in him, though, because he doesn't want to just turn over and die. He wants to continue moving forward, and it's what he saw in his mother. It's what he's it's just what he's seen his whole life is that the Rees family does hard things, and we just do them, So, and there's lots of other hard things that we could be doing that we choose not to as well. You deal with the hard stuff that you don't have control of, and the hard stuff that you do have control of, maybe sits on the sidelines for a while. So, but everything is a season, like Solomon says, there's a season for everything. And it really truly is. Not everything is hard all the time. So, um, and not everything is good all the time either. So it just is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody will have those experiences at least sometime.
Oh yeah.
Whether you're old, young, it's just some
Yeah.
people experience stuff sooner than others.
Sooner
You
or
know,
differently.
or differently, exactly.
Or
Yeah.
I mean, it can be state of mind is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm I don't know. There's one of the questions was what's the next question?
Next question is who has changed your life that doesn't know it?
Okay. Well, um, it would be. I've thought about this, and Ian Green. He's a guy that I knew when I lived in Emporia. He was in college at ESU. I was doing Flint Hills Technical College. We were in the same. He went to church with me. So we were in this group. It was college. It was called College and Career Group, and it was just hanging out, going seeing movies. It's just Bible study. Just college students and young adults that were either it might have been married or they were just they were already in their career doing their thing, but as a single, and just getting together and having fun. And anyways, I was having a really hard time growing up in the church and then going to college. And not that I was sheltered, I saw the world and the lives that other people were living, and differences in lives, um, and I don't know, there was a disconnect that I didn't understand with the Christian life and then the non-Christian life,
Uh-huh.
and and seeing people going through what they were going through, the hardships or the decisions that they made that made their lives harder than what it needed to be, um, it, it it angered me. It made me angry, um, and um, there's going to be a lot of I don't know who's listening to this or whatever, but there's a lot of opinions out there, but I I was angry at the other students in my classes about different things, and I was just kind of venting, um, and uh, and he said, Nick, the people you're talking about, you want them to be different or whatever, but and you expect them to be different, and and they're not, and and he said um, he said they don't have the Holy Spirit to guide them like we do, and so um, and as a Christian, um, just as a Christian, we believe in, that when you give your life to Jesus, um, He gives you His Holy Spirit. He gives you the Holy Spirit um, as a counselor, as a guide, that still soft voice that says, you shouldn't be doing that, you know. And so when he said, you know, you shouldn't expect anything from them that is different than what they're doing, because they don't have that voice. They don't have that Holy Spirit that's helping them, guide them. And that completely, like, I was like, I don't know why I never thought of that before. And I was like, duh. For me, it was a duh moment. But it completely changed how I started seeing people. And it wasn't pity or anything like that. It was just, well, maybe some of it was, it was just, my heart completely changed for people, to being against them or whatever, or upset with them about whatever it was, to it's something that they don't have, so that they can't have what I have until they make that decision, you know. And so I don't know how this is coming off, but needless to say, it changed my whole attitude, and it gave me more of a heart for people, and where they're at, and an understanding of, just a different understanding, I guess. And it completely, like, took that anger away. And so in Green, and he doesn't know this, you know, but it completely transformed, because all it was just, it's not like it wasn't something that I didn't know, but it was just tweaking, you know, this one thing, my understanding, a little bit. And so anyways, I from that point on, I believe myself that, you know, I became more of a loving person, less judgmental, less less everything, less about me, more about people. And so, yeah.
It's interesting, because even if you say, if you think about anger even as an emotion, at the root of it, it's unmet expectations anyways. So even if you take it at a different context, it's like if you shift your expectation on something, that kind of relieves the anger of that in the first place.
Yeah.
And even if we took this even in not that context, in a different context, if we think about people in general, like, you got to meet them where they're at to a certain extent, because people aren't ready to change until they're ready.
That's right.
You know, and you can be upset, and we can be blue in the face.
Oh yeah.
In any context, and it doesn't
even
happen.
With your kids, I mean, it doesn't matter who it is.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
It's like they have to come to the point, because they're an individual, and they have their own life experiences, and, you know, that has brought them to where they're at right there and then. And I just got done reading this book called, I'm going to get it wrong here, Unoffendable, by Brant Hansen, and he's a radio voice on some Christian music station. He's a writer, but he was just talking about how anger makes everything worse, you know, and how if and his thing was that Christians should be the most unoffendable people on the face of the planet. They have no reason to be angry about anything. And so he just brings all of Scripture, everything in the Bible that is related to anger, whether you're supposed to have it, what you're not supposed to do with it, you know, those kind of things, and brings it all together and goes, you know, this is what the whole of Scripture says about anger. And you don't have any right at all to be angry, period, about anything. And and by doing that, by going, okay, I'm not going to be angry, you release. I mean, we as humans, we're offended about everything. You know, we're offended for other people. We're offended for ourselves. We're, you know, and maybe anger, you know, helps make change, but it not always, and it can it robs you. It robs you of all the good stuff. So it sucks the energy out of you because you spend a lot of time focusing on, you know, the hurt or, you know, what you're offended about or whatever, and less loving on people, less, you know, just being in the moment, spending time, you know, with people, and so that's a book that has like also changed my perspective on some things. I'm like, you need to read this book.
It's funny. It's funny you said that. I listened to actually podcast today, and there was a little snippet where they talked about that. They said the most easily manipulated people are the people that get offended the easiest. And I was like, that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
Because if you can be offended, then you can be manipulated very easily.
Yeah.
I never thought of it from that perspective.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah, and anger is an interesting emotion. It's one of the few emotions that we have that it's like an active emotion where you're meant to do something with it. It can be a motivating tool. So if you get angry, I think it's also how you perceive it. Yeah. Do you dwell on it? What do you do when you are angry? Because it can be actually a good motivating tool to just to say like, hey, I'm feeling angry right now. That means something has to change.
Right.
You know, and that can be the motivating factor to do. Otherwise, you just sit there, you dwell on it. Yeah. That's why when people get angry, you go to the gym, whatever you need to do, you have your little tool where it's like, okay, I got it, got it out. You know?
Yeah, and you know, and anger is an emotion. There's no way to get rid of the emotion of anger. You know, it's just part. It's part of nature. It's fight or flight. It's, you know, it's there. It's what you end up doing with it.
Exactly.
That can be destructive, or like you were saying, it can maybe change you to be different.
Yeah, it can be a motivating factor.
Motivating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, in this book, it was, of course, you know, it's like acknowledging the anger and then releasing it. You know, just giving it up. You know, and maybe if it moves you to change, that's good, a good change. But if it changes you to put you into a bad place, or, you know, then, you know, that's not cool. So,
no, of course. Yeah. If you can let it go, that's great. Yeah. Don't want to suppress it, though.
No.
You got to know the difference.
Yeah, you totally got to know the difference, because suppressing very bad.
It'll come out sometime.
Yeah.
In a way
that's right. In a way that is totally not good. So.
Exactly. Okay, so what's a skill or talent you could share with us?
Man, a skill or talent. Well, I mean, see, I was struggling with this one because I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm an artist. I didn't know exactly how to share that. So,
Hmm.
other than to say I'm
Just
an
say
artist,
Well, what
you
type of
know.
medium do you do? Like, what's the?
So, I enjoy photography. I enjoy, which I haven't enjoyed for a little while. Um, uh, and that's painting. Um, I enjoy watercolor, which I don't know. I mean, watercolor's cool. It's fun, but it's all I don't know. I'm kind of changing my thinking on watercolor because it can be beautiful, um, but it's kind of I mean, like that up there. You got some watercolor going on there, right? With you can't see
They
that,
can't see it.
but you got Wolverine up on the wall, and it's water and it's cool. But I don't know. Sometimes I look at watercolor and I'm like, oh, man, that's so 80s, so, so I like doing acrylic. I haven't done any oil. Oil would be might be cool, but I'm not sure I want to drop money on a bunch of oil paints and stuff
Just to try.
quite yet, just to try it out.
Exactly.
I have to go to a maker place and try it out, or the art, whatever it is downtown. But uh, yeah, photography, painting. Um, I don't know. Houses, like my family's remodeled houses, as just trying to better your situation. You remodel a house, you make it beautiful, landscaping. It's all those things are art in my mind. And so I did landscaping when I was just out of high school and starting college, and that was really awesome. Love working with my hands. So you know, building things. Yeah, it's all, I don't know, it's making things with your hands.
I get that.
So sitting at a computer all day, doing IT stuff, remoting into people's machines, sitting there stagnant, it's like, I like it when I can get up and I can like pull cable through the ceiling in the dust and the grime, and you're all messy and stuff. And so, yeah.
I think we're wired to do that. I was talking to
Yeah.
someone like that a couple days ago. It's like, I just have this urge because I used to do construction work that I just want to get up and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like just sitting in front of a computer, it's like we're not made to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. You could be like not wanting to do any kind of work, housework, or starting a project in a room or something, and then it's like you just got to start taking the first couple of steps and doing it, and then you're like all about it, and it's like you just start the movement and doing it, and then it's like yeah, and you just powering through it, and so just taking those few steps to get going on it.
It's funny. That's a misconception a lot of people have too. Is they think you have to have the motivation first, and it works the other way around. If you take action first, you'll actually be motivated when you're doing the process.
I hate it.
Yeah,
because I can be unmotivated big time.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh man, I don't want to do that.
Then you do it, and then the motivation comes.
It's like, all right, let's rock. Turn the music off.
Exactly. Like that. So then, what's something you're learning about currently that you like to teach us?
Oh my goodness, there was a teaching question.
Yeah,
I think I missed that. Oh man. Well, I mean, don't be angry, people. There's no
so that was it.
There's no reason to be angry. I mean, there's lots of reason to be angry, but I mean, let it go. I hate that song, but
What, the Frozen one?
Yeah. It's so bad. But anyways, yeah, do something kind for people. Um, be there when people need it. If you're struggling to figure out what life is all about, what your role is, um, serving people is big medicine, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't, I haven't ever talked to anybody that if they did something sacrificial outside of themselves for somebody else, that they went, well, that was dumb. I didn't get anything from that. Not only did they help the person and bless them, but it also bless themselves. So, um, yeah,
I mean, I think we're wired to do that.
yeah,
I mean, we get satisfaction from helping people, and I've heard that helps a lot with like stress relief and stuff too. Like there's this whole thing, gratitude. They talk about different forms of gratitude, and some of it is, like the whole traditional gratitude is, right, 5 things you're grateful for. But they've said that you can actually get better, long-lasting gratitude when you think about those times when you help someone or the times you've seen someone help somebody else.
yeah,
It I don't know if it's one of those things where it just gives people comfort in knowing that people take care of one another,
yeah,
or what it might be. But there's that, and I've also heard too that like when you help other people, it's satisfying. I've heard it's
mm-hmm.
actually more anxiety inducing when people think about themselves.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because we're in a culture now that I think it gets misconstrued. Like, don't get me wrong, like people need to take care of themselves. Otherwise, you don't have capacity to take care of other people. But if you dwell too much on that, taking care of yourself too much, or really focusing it externally, there's a lot of a lot more anxiety and stuff that comes from that aspect.
Well, and it's just another form of isolation, where if you just completely draw into yourself, and you're not putting forth into other people. Yeah, it's just another form of isolation, and it's lonely.
Oh yeah,
it
is.
Yeah, so
I think it's good. It's good advice. Okay, so what are you doing for fun right now?
Well, I helped my daughter empty out a storage unit yesterday. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's saving money now. A little bit of money. She runs a little antique booth in Ottawa. And so we took some stuff over there. She was setting up a new booth area. And my son-in-law is kind of down in the back right now. So got to, help him out. And so, yeah. Let's see. I like to one wheel with my youngest son. So
I've still never done that.
Dude, I just need to. It's nice out right now, so I should have brought a couple of one wheels with me.
Dude, you should have one wheeled here from Lawrence.
Dude, I only have a 16-mile range, so I'd have to stop, plug into a Tesla charge. No.
Okay, so is this a one wheel where the wheel is forward and you're on the side, or is it one where you ride on it sideways and the wheel's this way?
Yeah, you're riding on it sideways, like a skateboard.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen people have the other ones where it's like there's two things for your feet and it's a wheel in the middle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've seen people ride those on the streets like like 50, 60 miles an hour, as a vehicle, and I'm like,
oh dude. Yeah, it's like a motorcycle tire between your legs.
Exactly, yep.
I mean, it's
you're just cruising.
We call them crotch rockets, but those things are more it's like I mean, between those and the skateboard style, which is what I ride, I mean, they're off-road, on-road. It's wherever you can take them. I've seen those unicycle ones where they're on like dirt bike trails and stuff, and they're like, I mean, they're hauling, and they're hitting jumps, and I mean, they're like, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But you're in, full, leathers and, full face helmet and everything when you're on those things.
Yeah.
So my style is, 20 mile an hour and slower, carving like I'm on fresh powder on a snowboard everywhere I go. That's what I love about it. So it was introduced to me by my youngest son because he wasn't into mountain biking like my older son is, and he's like, I'm like, well, what do you want to do? You need to get outside, He's like, I'm interested in this. I'm like looking at it. I'm like, are you joking me? What is this? So then I started watching videos. I was like, dang, this is awesome, So you can take them on mountain bike trails. I mean, it's legit. It's legit. It is the funnest traveling anywhere is being on a one wheel. I mean, it's
I gotta try this out.
It's super cool. I'm a big boy, and it handles me just fine. And I mean, it's cool. I'll bring him to the office.
Okay,
so
I'm game. I'm game.
Did you do any skating when you were that was I used to skate, so it was,
no.
It was
so I just tried skateboarding a couple of years ago for the first time.
Okay,
buddy let me borrow a board, and I can ride on it just fine.
Okay, well that's all you need.
No tricks though.
That's all you need.
Okay,
that's all you need. If you've been on a skateboard, you know the feeling. You'll do fine.
Okay.
So
sick. Yeah, I'm stoked.
So it's got gyroscopes in it, so you just let it do the balancing, and you're fine.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, man. Okay,
we're gonna do it. Okay. So next question. So we've talked about a lot today.
Yeah.
So if we were to make a story from when you were born to now, what would that story be called?
What would that story be called? The Life of Nick. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. It's like Job. So I don't know. A journey. I don't know what you would. I don't know what I would call it. It would probably be it'd be like the journey, maybe.
The journey.
Yeah. Okay. The journey.
The journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Job wouldn't show up well as a thumbnail anyways. People think it's job.
Yeah, true.
They're like, why is the name this thing job?
Job. I don't know.
Okay, the journey. I feel like that's really fitting. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so we got a few questions left, but this is the time that I give for you to share whatever you want. So share anything you want. You can promote yourself if you want.
Oh man, I got no promotions.
No.
So I don't have a. I mean, I'm on Facebook, but I mean, I don't. I'm just a dude. I don't have a business. I don't.
Okay. So that's easy.
Hi, yeah, I'm Nick.
Sweet.
Life is good.
Okay. And here we go. So this is like my favorite parts. This is where you get to answer a random question from the previous guest, and then you get to create one for the next guest.
Okay.
So you got no prep for this one.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. So the question is, what's one thing you want to do that you've been too afraid to do?
Something that I want to do that I've been too afraid. Yeah. Dating.
Dating?
Yeah, dating. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You want to elaborate, or just that's it?
That's it. It's too scared. It's like dating's weird now. We're married for 21, 20, almost 21 years, and it's like I don't know. It's when you're in college and you're around people and, you know, you don't have a bunch of baggage and, you know, things just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different now. So,
things,
you know.
dating's just weird in general these days.
Well, yeah.
But it's like the saying that I didn't want to accept being there, like, just put yourself out there. And it's like, that's the silliest thing, but it's true. Because that's what you learn. You learn from experience.
Is this the thing we talked about, like, moving forward from, you know, being, it's like the motivation
Why, are you angry?
comes after. No.
Angry is not going to motivate you. No. I'm on the dating app right now.
No, I can't wait for the motivation. I have to just make the steps. And
Exactly. Yeah, you got to take the action. The motivation will happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's because it is tricky. So the best way that I've found to think of it is, I was listening to a podcast. They said think of it as an introduction app, not like an app where you're going to meet the love of your life. Because odds are you're not going to, not right away, right? So.
Ooh.
I don't mean it in that way. I mean, you might, but I'm saying, but it's more like
a waste of time, Ricky.
but you don't know. But if you go in with without those expectations, you won't be angry, right? So if you go in thinking like, hey, I'm just here to meet you.
So it's an expectation.
Let's talk about it. Like, let's talk about you, and then you learn right away. Like, you know what? You're not for me, but I had a good time.
That was a good time.
Cool. Or you can say, you know what? Let's do another date. And then she might be like, you know what? No, I'm good. And you're like, okay, that's fine too.
Yeah, right?
So, it's just in the last few years, I've experienced a few things here and there for sure. So it's just all about learning, and the more you kind of let go of those expectations, the easier it gets. And I found that out. So it just keeps getting easier and easier. But you got to make the step first.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's the stepping. I don't want to step in it.
Yeah. Okay. So what question you want to leave the next guest?
Oh my. If there was only one thing in your life. No, sorry. If there was only one thing in life that you could eat, and it was the only thing you could eat,
okay,
what would that be?
So that took a turn that I wasn't expecting. I was like, dude, this is going to get real deep. And then when I heard food, I was like, okay.
Trying to be nice, maybe,
to
the next person.
Okay, so if you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life?
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
What would it be? Okay. What would it be for you?
Oh, I'm not answering the question.
Oh, you gotta answer it.
Okay, well, I mean, it's probably too easy, but I mean, pizza, of course, has just about everything.
It's true, but I thought you were doing carnivore. You doing carnivore?
Yeah, well, yeah. Not so much. No, not so much. Not so much in the last couple of weeks. So I'll get back on it. It's it's one of those things like, yeah, you gotta have a break
So right now
from just eating steak all the time.
You seem so jazzed when we were talking at the UFC fence. Is that the last day?
Dude.
Is that what happened? Did we corrupt your...
No, okay. because I ate all those wings. They were so good, too. No, there was something that happened. I can't remember. I don't even remember what it was. But I went from eating completely carnivore, and then there was something that happened, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that, and then I'll hop back on it. Man.
Yeah, dude, that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's funny, you can miss a day.
You fall off the wagon, or get on the wagon, whatever it is,
I don't know. But that's what they say. They say one, like, you can miss a day, but they said don't miss two.
Right.
Because it's too likely that you're not going to get back into it. And it's true.
Yeah.
I noticed that I noticed my what am I trying to think? My inner monologue or whatever, when I got sick for a few days, and I didn't work out it was only for like 4 or 5 days,
Yeah.
so it wasn't even crazy. But that monologue came up and was like, you know what? No, you can just relax today. You don't got to do it. You don't have to go. And it's like, you know what? I could sleep in. What's the big deal?
Yeah, well,
I still look good, you know.
Yeah,
But it's funny.
still
But that's
today.
that's what comes in, right?
Yeah.
So I know, like,
Yeah.
even just missing a little bit of time,
Oh, yeah.
like that's what comes in. Because then it was probably like that. You miss something, like because you actually had to miss it. Then all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? You can give it a little break. You know that pizza looks good. And
That's
whatever.
right.
You're like, you know
That's
what?
right.
This sounds real good.
Oh, man.
And then the longer you wait, the harder it is to get back into it. But
Well,
yeah, that's the tricky thing about it.
Habits, diet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, food is so abundant and available,
Yeah.
and it's just like, you know, I'm like, I'll get to feeling really crappy, and then I'll make a change. You know, sometimes it just takes pain. You know, that's something, you know, everybody probably knows is that, pain.
Yeah,
Pain. It takes pain
but
to change, you know, so.
it doesn't have to, but typically it does. Yeah, I was reading that in the Stoic book because they said that too. It's like wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes.
That's right. If you allow yourself to do that.
If you can do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right.
But
That's right.
it seems to always be the opposite. But it's like, but you actually don't have to. You don't have to go through it.
No.
You could actually just observe people around you and be okay.
You know, and it's funny because I've for the longest time, I've thought, I've looked at people, I've looked at what they went through in their lives, and I've said to myself, I don't want to go through that, so I'm not going to be that way. And I've held to that. But there's things that are like, you know, I know better. But, it's just, it's like, you know what the wisdom is, but you just choose not to.
Yeah, there's always that little thing.
Engage it.
Yeah, you look at it, you're like, well, there's still like a 6% chance it could end up really well, really good. You know, that's pretty good. And then all of a sudden, like, next week, you're devastated, and like, you know, you got a friend that's in their mind saying, I told you so. I told you so. Or you have the friend that literally tells you to your face, I told you so, bro. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I just thought it'd be different.
Yeah, it'd be different.
Well, I won't do it again.
I could handle it. I could handle it this time.
Yeah, I'm stronger now.
Yep. The lies we tell ourselves.
I know. It's awesome. So, well, Nick, man, I'm glad you came to the podcast.
Yeah, I was glad you invited me, man. That's cool.
You know, I've only been inviting you for 5 months.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I came out a little strong. It shouldn't have been the first week where I'm like, hey, Nick, you want to be part of a podcast? You're like, I just met you, but
I don't know.
Let me think about it.
Well, you know, you have a little time to think about it, and those questions, you know, it was good having the questions to kind of chew on.
Yeah.
And I chewed on them a good bit of time, but some of them not so much. I was just like, we'll just see what comes out.
That's fair.
So, but, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
No problem. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.